All right.
All right. Well, those spoilers were crazy. So
Thanks
you guys all
everyone for
enjoyed
joining
them.
us. Hope you all
now
enjoyed the
that we've
spoilers.
read
Cool.
through it all.
Oh, some good spoilers right there. Wow.
All right. I don't like making people wait. I feel like it's fucking shitty. So you want to just jump into it, Blake?
Yeah, I mean, we were just waiting to try and get it started, so that way we
Yeah,
made
letting
sure
people join in.
we were all
Yep.
ready. So
Thank you everyone for your patience. All of 2 minutes.
yeah,
All right.
And so everybody knows, before Blake starts,
No.
because we are extremely lazy here at the Outcast Haven podcast crew / whatever, we're gonna go right into our normal podcast right after this. So
Two birds, one
it's gonna
stone.
be a really, really long spoiler reveal.
yeah. Well, I mean, the intention is to talk through the spoilers. That's obviously
And then we're
so
just
we
gonna
can get
roll
that
right
done.
into what's been
We're gonna
spoiled,
roll right
our
in
thoughts and all
afterwards.
that.
Yeah, because I mean, up to this point, there's been pretty much all the spoilers, so we're kind of on the very end of it. So
Okay, holy shit. I know what they are, and I'm getting antsy. Like to
that's fine.
spoil
Let's
them.
go.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Cool.
I'll go.
Jesus Christ,
I'm
you
going
guys.
first. Here we go. That's fine.
Go for it.
All right. So my card is Blessing of Patience. It is a rare guardian action. Blessing of Patience. At the start of your turn, destroy Blessing of Patience. Then target hero gains 3 life. We don't know. Like we don't guess them in all. In all colors or whatever.
Oh, do we still not have
No.
sound? We should have sound. Is someone
Yeah, they
someone
said
trolling
sound.
us?
Unless they're behind. I don't know how that works in terms of.
Oh,
what we're
that
doing,
comment
but
disappeared. Okay, can you guys hear
There
us?
you go. Yeah,
Sound is
sound is
okay.
fine. Okay, there we
Oh,
go.
thank you, Dan.
Yeah. So we got our cards all in one color. So, I mean, we don't know 100% sure if there is a cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but
This,
the one
it's
I
hard
got,
to say.
the one I got is red. It costs 1, blocks for 3, and yeah, gain 3 life is pretty good. It's kind of like it's a cheaper Blessing of Deliverance without Go Again, which is interesting.
No go again, which is weird. So yeah, I'm trying to find where this fits in, but
Yeah.
that will be for another day. On some of these are a little bit hard to see where they fit in.
Yeah. So, all right, Dane.
Cool. Next up, Bergie for you here. Let me transition this. So this we've got the Blessing of Chi. At the start of your turn, destroy Blessing of Chi, then create a Crouching Tiger in your banished zone. It gains +3 power, and you may play it this turn. So the biggest buff we've seen on Crouching Tiger so far, which is super cool. When we saw it, we hadn't seen any of the other spoilers, so we were wondering, like, what the fuck is the point of the Crouching Tiger? So this is super cool. Seeing sort of like the synergies of all the additional powers being added and the setups that you can kind of run into with all of the Tiger cards. So super cool. 1 cost, blocks for 3, red. So if it is a cycle, might see a +2/+1. But yeah, I mean it's cool, man. I like it. I really like this whole the Crouching Tiger. And there's actually, this came with 2 spoilers, so I know that. No, I'm just kidding. It was just the Crouching Tiger card. So you guys have already seen that, and I'm not going to add the asset in. So that's all we got. Jason, my
I'm just
friend.
gonna say right now, I have the best art of the 3 cards.
Absolutely,
And I have
you do.
I do love the art.
Blessing of Occult. At the start of your turn, destroy Blessing of Occult, then create 3 rune chant tokens. Borrowed powers come with debt unpaid. One day, the shadows will come to play. I like it. I think this is actually very playable. Just the fact that you're creating 3 rune chants, and with all the using a little footwear action, you can bring this in pretty easily, even though it doesn't have Go Again.
It's interesting. All of these, none of these have Go Again. The most interesting thing about the Katsu one, or like the Tiger one, is that Ninja probably has the best access Go Again to get those cards out. I know everybody in the comments did point out that the Guardian one it might be best as a Yoji, right? Like his whole spiel, his whole deal is like gaining life, playing slow, protecting everybody.
He protects everybody but the king and gains life for himself. It's kind of Yoji's
Yeah.
kind of selfish. Let's be honest.
Yeah, kind of a dick.
I love the art on. I mean, honestly, on all of these, they all look really cool.
Yeah, I'm pulling them all up right now so everyone can kind of see.
Federico, he's done a lot
everything
of
side
stuff.
by side.
He did the occult. I just love the art in this one. Just
Musetti, yeah.
it's just really cool. Everything about it, like the flavor text. They really went above and beyond on flavor text for this set, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I think
the whole
overall,
flavor of the whole set is fucking awesome.
This is what we were talking about. We said we need another crew set, either last week or the week before. We were saying if we could get another, we got the crew set. This is we're just gonna call it crew 2 because there is so much help for so many classes. This is the crew 2.
Yeah, Norian. So it was these 3, and then I think on the official page it had 4 question marks listed, but that was the 4th card that we got sent was the Crouching Tiger.
Tiger. Yeah. No hidden dragon, just a Crouching Tiger.
I know, man. I'm waiting for the hidden dragon card.
Has anybody seen the hidden dragon? Maybe that's why we can't find it.
Maybe
it's
hidden.
freaking hidden.
Yeah.
It's hidden.
Yeah, that blessing of so there's some good play mats in these cards. I'm just gonna throw that out there right now.
Yes. Dude, a lot of the fucking ninja cards with the tigers, with like the astral tigers. So cool, dude. Such good art this set.
Yeah, this will be so I think occult is very playable in Viscerai.
Also curious to see because everybody has been, so you get a lot of talking and everybody's got group chats and stuff like that. I'm curious what everybody here thinks about the set so far in general. Like, is this getting overhyped, or is this really gonna feel like Crew 2.0, right? Like, this is, as much as we've wanted another set like Crew, I think the biggest issue with Everfest was it felt like there was a lot of just chaff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
there were a lot of cards that
like it was Everfest felt like it was deepening the card pool with a lot of like commons and rares and stuff that were not necessarily useful at the time or yet, but will be. Like, I still stand by that. I don't think that all those items and stuff were released for the sake of like a PvE or anything like that. I think that they're released because they're all going to go in and out of use for different decks and in different metas for the next decade. You know what I mean? Like, I think that it's just like deepening the card pool, which feels bad at the time because you want like cool, exciting new stuff that's viable now. But I get the point of it. Like, I wasn't like disappointed with it.
So out of the early previews, I mean, we've seen most of the cards. We're one of the last ones putting previews out. I definitely think I know who won Dynasty. Like, what class and hero came out. I know my opinion. I'm curious if anybody else's opinion, what they think came out. I'm going to tell you, I think Dash won Dynasty. In my opinion right now,
Voltron
I think Dash won.
Voltron deck. Well, yeah, you have the Voltron figures on your shelf in your basement. Like, obviously you would find that as a win. Yes.
She just got a lot of help because she already is a very versatile hero, and she just became even more versatile with the cards that we see from this set. And I just like reading through the comments. I don't think this is overhyped. I thought Everfest was meh with a lot of tricks. There is utility cards that came out in the set that allow you to sway the way you build your decks. So this is not an overhyped deck. This is cards that we needed.
Yeah. I think Damon makes a good point that it helps a lot of the early heroes too. And I know that that's might not be the most popular thing for a lot of people in terms of what they wanted to see with a set. But realistically, that's something that they did kind of need to do, because it felt like some of those original heroes were kind of falling behind in terms of what they could do.
Which the fact that original heroes are in the conversation still, I just want to continue to reiterate how fucking cool that is.
It is like, pretty insane.
Years old heroes are still being played. You know what I mean? Like, that's just it's really it's a big success on a company's part to have that be the case.
And the only reason I didn't say that the new assassin won, because I see somebody said that that's the win. The only reason I don't say that is because I feel like Dash is the one hero that can mitigate all of that and has the tricks and the defensive ability around that hero. But that's to be seen. That's just my opinion in,
Well,
day zero of looking at cards.
it does depend on how you play Dash. If you're playing Boost Dash and you don't want to block and you want to race, and he can just kind of chip away at your cards when he has a couple turns here and there, you're kind of doing his job for him. So,
See, I'm so like
Dash is
torn.
like, I'll banish my own cards.
yeah, it's just like nobody
So you can
banishes my
banish 'em
cards but
faster.
me.
No, I think that like I think I fall in the group of like many people very excited to see Assassin finally. Like it looks super fun. The whole like destructive aspect. It's the mill. Who doesn't love a good mill deck?
Who doesn't
right?
love a good mill?
Who doesn't
deck?
love a good old fashioned milling? But like I'm excited. I'm excited to like play it and try it out. And I've always leaned towards like the control and like that style. Like I think that like you, Blake, lean more like control into mill, like in like the previous games you've played. Like you loved Leia. You loved Leia mill.
Did Yoda Leia?
Yeah, but like I think that it's gonna be like really fun to try out, and I think it's a cool aesthetic too. But I also think that I get Dory vibes from him so far. Like I get the sense, like remember when we were early on and Dory was just crushing our souls every time we played into her, and then we just figured out how to block her, what to overblock, when we could take damage, or like like you start to figure out like the patterns for how to block, and she doesn't have a whole lot of like really unique like flexible play arounds. It's like block correctly or I punish you very hard, but if you block correctly I don't have any other tricks. And I kind of get that vibe a little bit. So we'll see. I mean, I could be totally wrong. That's just how looking at his card pool so far, that's how I'm feeling.
I would say that the thing that this set might do the best, and we might look back on it and be more appreciative of it, is that when you look at set right now, maybe the most important thing it appears to be doing, in my opinion at least, is that feels like they're trying to push the game to be a little bit slower.
Yep.
They're adding a lot of disruption, creating some issues. It seems like everybody is getting now, which I love, but lots of decks are getting in class CNCs. Mm-hmm. So now if people start to get married, like if aggro decks are like, well, I'm not going to block, just going to aggro I'm going to, defend one turn, arsenal my best card, draw up and play off a big hand and just blow you out. But if every deck can effectively play like 6 CNCs with their in-class cards plus CNCs, or if they have a cycle of that kind of card, you put the game in a position where it's like, well, if you want to play aggro, that's fine, but people actually have meaningful disruption. They can mess with your hand and mess with your arsenal and mess with your equipment, and all of a sudden you need aggro in the game, but you do need to give everybody some reasonable option to interact with it. And because then it kind of forces those aggro decks to run just maybe a couple defense reactions to try and mitigate some of that disruption when they can.
So here's where I'm at with the game right now. Fate, Foreseen, and Sink Below, big winners. They're going to be included in a lot of decks because they're going to have to be. Brute got help, and not only in the form of cards, but in the form of another hero that helps lower Phi in the Ultra Aggro deck, so that Brute, before when he would just die, he now is back in. So it's weird to think of.
What deck are you considering helping against Phi?
The Assassin.
I see. I don't know that.
I think
from what I've seen so far in Assassin, they've got 2 cards, Majestics, that hit hand as well as deck, or one hits arsenal, one hits hand, right? I mean, but you're not gonna
deck, and just getting the good threats out is insane. And if you banish Phoenix Flames, there's just a lot of things that can get banished. If you banished Art of Wars,
that's true. You got the RNG of randomly banishing, but at the same time, I'm thinking, well, how many turns is a Phi game
it's not all RNG because his contract
he gets to look.
he gets to look.
That's
So
true.
if you don't think that's a good enough target, you can hunt for another target, which I
Yeah.
think does help
That's not your lava
to
burst bottom of the deck. That's not.
right.
I also
Or
think
it'll banish it, and
Mhm.
then it just allows heroes like Brute, who did get cards that legitimately good 6 strength cards that help him.
What do you think
So
that ratio, that win-loss ratio is, though, of an assassin racing a Fi?
Assassin's not going to race. There's going to be no race.
Well, I mean, well, a
Assassin's
Fi
gonna
is
be
going to be racing, so then the assassin's what? Just gonna
just start eating up their deck and with the hit effects,
just
and
run really
then
defensive. You
is going
mean?
to be very defensive as well.
Okay. Okay.
I do think there's something to be said for when you're playing into a Fi as an assassin, keeping in mind that, you know, if you look at the top card of the deck and you go, "Oh, man, this card would be great if they had it." But you know what? I'm going to try and effectively get 2
Mhm.
cards out of it. I think that's maybe something people aren't thinking about is
Mhm.
if you don't think you're going to let someone get through their whole deck anyway, like you're going to try and damage them as much as you can while they damage you back, and you're going to have to trade some, but you're going to try and disrupt their doing. It's also possible that putting Art of War in the bottom of the deck and then banishing something else, because you get to look at the card, put it top or bottom, then banish. You could just bury the Art of War, and who knows? You hit the lottery, you bury an Art of War, and you're like, you know what? I don't think we're gonna get to that card. And if we do get to that card, I don't mind because you're not gonna be able to block with it. And I think we're gonna be racing at low life by the time you cycle your whole deck. If you don't think they're gonna cycle their deck anyway, put the Art of War on the bottom, and then what happens when you just hit the nuts? Bury an Art of War, banish a Lava Burst. It's like that's a 2-for-1. Like you got the best of both worlds in those cases, right?
Yeah. So actually, Clark Jansen just mentioned that Blessing of Patience is a PvE Yoji card because it says target hero and not your hero. But target hero can be your
Target
hero.
yourself.
Yeah, you can target
Yeah,
yourself.
but it
Just
does.
to
I do
clarify
think
for people
yeah,
before
yeah.
that gets confused.
Yeah, I do think that to their point, like that's something that maybe I don't think a lot about PVE or a lot
Yeah,
about
me neither. I
UPF
will.
or
I'll
anything. That's
definitely.
just not in my brain.
I'll absolutely play it when it comes out because I think that'd be a fun time to get some of the kids in. You know, maybe
Yeah.
my wife,
I mean,
get everyone sitting around the table playing. Who knows?
yeah.
But
I'll play anything. I play every format. You know, people when
Yeah.
if I'm at an armory and someone goes, "Hey, you want to stick around and play UPF?" and I don't have to leave, it's like, yeah, sure, I'll just
Mhm.
grab a deck and let's go for it. Sure, why not? I don't mind playing every format. It doesn't bother me. I just think with cards like that where someone goes, "That's a Yoji card." My brain never went there because I don't even. I guess when I see a
Yoji's
card,
not
I
a real
always
hero to
evaluate.
me. Yeah, I get what
I
you're saying.
evaluate cards for constructed, like classic constructed
Yeah.
first, and then after that, it's always Blitz because those are the 2 formats that are
Yeah.
competitive formats that I'm going to go play in armories and skirmishes and Artians and PQs and stuff. You know?
I will say I don't play a ton of Blitz, but all of these Crouching Tiger cards and support cards have me super fucking excited to play Benji. Like, there's definitely something there, and I get to go back to
God, if
Benji.
you can
now.
get there's some cards that are just gonna be broken in Benji, where you're gonna go like 82 wide with crouching tigers everywhere, and then you just Art of War 1, so they're all one. Yeah, I'm gonna come in with 32 crouching tigers for 1 apiece. Good luck. They're all non-blockable because your armor was used on turn 1.
So as good as well, I'm Pouncing Links is banned now, isn't it, in Blitz? So it doesn't even matter because now
I
you
wonder
can
if they
just
did it
run.
for this combo piece, like, because that
It's possible.
new ninja card has combo where the one that doubles the Crouching Tigers. So
Yeah.
oh, it just needed to be a ninja card. Never mind. It just needed to be an attack action, right? It didn't need to be
Yeah,
combo.
it didn't need to be combo. I mean they did Pouncing Links because of Phi, because
Yeah.
Lava Burst, Snapdragon, Lava Burst off of the Pouncing Links is disgusting.
All I know is the
Salted wound, whatever.
the first weekend of ProQuest season is gonna be. You're not gonna know what to prepare for. There's just too much out there now and too many good. Like if we think the meta's wide open now, I think the meta has increasingly became wide open with a lot of the new cards that we have seen, because
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
there should be a good warrior deck that comes out of this. There has to be. With piercing, you can
Bolden
no
got so
longer
much
just
support.
right. Oldham got support, but also warrior, the whole piercing. There's those turns that when you're playing those pivot turns you play against warrior where you full armor block to get out
Yeah.
of out of that turn, that could be gone now, and I think that's great for the game.
That's still I'm reticent to think that, just because when you're playing against a Dory, you just keep in mind, okay, overpower right now could buff it up to 5. How much do I need to overblock this
With
to stop
6,
the
yeah.
5? Or
Red,
6,
red goes
yeah,
to
yeah.
6. Yeah.
So, like, all it is now is like, okay, so the piercing card, what's that one called? Like, what's the name of
Saying
it?
if you start blocking,
There are
from
more than
hand,
one. Yeah.
you're
but
turning
so now
on
you just gotta think,
all the
okay, so I
cards.
gotta for sure overblock 4 because that card buffs 3, and I'm blocking with a piece of armor, so it's gonna be a +1 if they play that. So it's still the same math. It's just different numbers now. They have
I think the
additional
key.
numbers.
It's a lot
So
harder because your
I think,
armor
yeah.
just gets pierced before you least. You could be like, you can't get through this. Now it buffs out and goes. It just, I don't know.
So I think
I
the
think it
two
becomes a lot
things.
better.
I think the two things that piercing does. One, it does give it just gives warriors a little bit more options in like the mid game, and especially into like the random players, people who don't understand the deck, didn't understand it before, right? Like they would struggle, like before they would struggle, but there were people who kind of had a feel for it, and you could accidentally beat Dory because you overblocked the right thing. Now it makes it harder to play against. It continues to add complexity. Before, Dory was, if you understood 2 + 2 = 4, or 3 + 3 = 6 is probably the correct thing to say. If you understood 3 + 3 = 6, you could dodge Dory. Problem is now it adds more variables and just makes it more complicated, right?
It makes
It's
it better. It makes
right.
makes the game better. Makes the
I
game
think that,
better.
yeah, I think just saying, well, now it's not a piece of armor plus a defense reaction, because the piece of armor doesn't mean anything now. It also might mean, hey, you know what? It is important to consider the fact that maybe I need to put some defense reaction in.
I guess
Like
my
defense.
thought was that it's additional considerations, but once the considerations get added to a player playing against a Dory's knowledge or playing against a warrior's knowledge, the considerations are there just like the other considerations were there, and it's just a additional consideration. Right? Like it's not like
Maybe
it's not like
The
Dory
worst
has
because now
all this
but
additional
now you have to block
flexibility
with the
for
card
different.
from hand. Is what makes it
Yeah.
worse. So
Yeah,
before all those
yes.
considerations were based on this, but now if I have to block with a card from hand, I just
Does
turned on every.
piercing +1 for every armor blocking, or is it just +1 if an armor piece blocks?
+1 if an armor piece blocks, I believe.
Okay, so you need to be able to block 1 more with armor.
Yeah. Well, it
Which
just.
I think 6 is the number, which that will make it 7, which
Yeah.
makes it very, very difficult to block.
Yep.
I think
Yep, and that's
anything
fair.
that. Yeah. I think anything that changes or
It shows
makes
5 on our website.
math
Did we
weird.
get shorted on the Flesh and Blood
We just got
TCG
these
website?
3 in the
Yeah,
Crouching
we got
Tiger.
these 3 in the Crouching Tiger, Wes.
Damn.
And also about what
We were
people are
supposed to
asking
have the
questions.
Fabled too.
Worlds, we are not going. I personally, my son is playing in section finals of his senior year for football, so I'm not going to miss that for the Worlds. Get it? No
Yeah,
pun
The
intended.
Worlds.
And
I think it was intended.
I don't know what your 2 excuses are, so I'll let you guys answer that.
My wife's grandpa passed away, so she had to go. I spent all my, I know that it's highly believed that we make a lot of money as content creators, but our for like $8 a month from YouTube ads doesn't exactly cover our plane tickets to San Jose. So when I had to pay for like 3 more plane tickets this year to visit family, it became harder to justify a San Jose flight as well. So
Andrew's right. We always do get short
Hey, man,
changed,
what the heck?
charged, changed, whatever.
Charged, shortchanged, whatever. Yeah.
I think what it is, honestly,
speaking-
this is my thought, okay? I think that because we're a 3-person group, they like to send us spoilers that are like fitting for 3s. Like we got the items last time, we got the ninja cards, the new, and then we had to like spoil like that mechanic or whatever. That was cool.
Pseudo combo that they.
We're never
had
gonna
with
get like the one big spoiler, right? Like we're not gonna get like the Angel Herald, because God knows I have to buy more cards now for a deck I can't play. We wouldn't get that. We got to get the 3, which is fine, which is
They
cool.
coulda-
Like
They could just give us like 3 legendaries, like a full set of legendaries. They could.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Maybe on like our 10-year anniversary or something. They'll be
10-year
like,
anniversary.
They've been here
That's what we're
since the
gonna get.
beginning. We'll give them something real fucking cool.
It's like they just haven't. They just refuse to leave. We just keep giving them stuff, and they just keep making content. I don't even know what's going on at
They
this
gave
point.
them the wrapper for this set to spoil the wrapper, and they stick around. Why?
They just keep going. They
'Cause
don't
we're
complain about anything. They just keep making.
We complain about all
podcasts.
kinds
Why
of
are
shit. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we complain.
we bitch and
We've
bunch.
never hold on, but we've never complained about not getting a good enough spoiler. We've even said that like if we didn't get a spoiler, it's not like the world would end, right? Like we wouldn't. I think some people are like if I didn't get a spoiler, I'd be pissed if I was making content, or people make
I'd be
content because they
sad
want
for
There's
sure.
spoilers.
literally
and-
somebody that did that.
yeah, literally somebody didn't know.
Oh,
I
for
mean-
real?
I mean, I'd be sad.
Someone
It-
got upset.
It's no longer in the good old
People
kitchen
throw hissy-
table.
People throw hissy fits all the time about this, that, or another thing. Like they get their butt hurt about everything. And
Oh, I thought about this
Oh.
season. Okay.
we've always just kind of been like, yeah, we're just around. We're just here. We're not going anywhere.
I'll be honest. I'm gonna do this for a decade just because I want to see if they do anything cool for us being around for 10 years of their game.
I mean, I'll probably have been retired by 2 years, 3 years by then, but I'll come back just for that, for the specialness.
Why would you retire like year 8? It's like make it to the decade, dude.
A weird year to retire.
So
I retired at
just for
51.
people, that are in San Jose, I have a feeling we're gonna have Pro Tour 1 Part 2, The Rise of Kano, at Worlds. So I hope you packed
For
your
The rise of
AB.
Kano.
I hope
Like,
you
so,
packed your Spell Void and
So
your AB.
Julian said, I know why the Emperor died if Yoji got such a horrible card. I would like to point out that maybe my favorite joke of spoiler season so far is when they did the Emperor died thing. We're in a group chat. We were in a group chat hanging out talking.
Oh, yes.
Andrew Rothermel. Andrew is an incredibly good player, super talented. Andrew's one of those great people that I love that because he sits around kind of quietly. You're hanging out with him, he's pretty quiet, and then he randomly will say something, and it's just the best singer of the day, and you're like, man, just waiting for the perfect moment to pounce. And he pointed out that he goes, now we know why Yoji wasn't Draconic, because he's got no talent. Because that man is the worst royal protector on planet Earth.
It was
They
so
just they were like, here's the royal protector, and you're like, nice. And you're like, oh, the Emperor's dead. Like, what?
good. I
They
agree.
hire, they hire her
Briar
afterwards?
Farewell Tour at Worlds. Sorry, that was a
Be
great
okay.
point.
Get her out. And it's time for the Living Legend format. Time for the rise of Prism can come back, Dane.
I'm not at all interested in that format.
Oh, I am 100% interested in that format.
I'm really interested to see in the next, like, hopefully within this next year, we see like the replacement heroes, and that would be cool. Like, I'm excited to see like what they come up with, because I'm excited for not Luminaris. You know, I'm excited to see because just this set should show you the capability they have to play with their design space, because there's so many cool little nuanced things they did that changed how classes are still doing what they do, but in different, in different zones or in different, like, it's just so cool to see all of that stuff. And I am completely on board with the fact that like they will come out with some cool new illusionist that still feels like an illusionist that does something unique, that's not just spamming spectral shields or something.
So-
You know what I mean?
How long? So that obviously, with I would assume we don't see a new light illusionist, and there was quite a few, or not quite a few, but some really good light illusionist cards that came out in this set.
Mm-hmm.
So that shows that they had this set done 8, 9, 10 months ago.
Well, design wise, but they probably sent it to the printers like too late.
Well,
to
yeah, I'm not
change
talking
anything.
about printers.
Yeah, like
I mean, once you have you have a set design, you can't just start pulling cards.
right. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if like the replacement heroes ended up coming out as more as like armory kit giveaways or something like that. Like they print a new light illusionist in like July, and like that's the That's the
Yeah.
32 in like that armor.
Ice
Andrew
Lander?
said Andrew
Yeah.
said 2023 is when James White said they were going to do replacements. I actually am curious if we're
okay.
getting
I miss it.
there's a lot of little things that you see throughout these cards and some of the story and things like that. I thought Looming Doom is a very interesting
Mhm.
idea of how they could be approaching potential return to Shadow and Light, because I thought card art was just absolutely incredible. And if you put it next to like Duskpath Pilgrimage, where you can see Solana, and then it's just Solana basically burning to the ground, you know, it's like there's maybe that's one of our sets in 2023 has the possibility of return to light and shadow in a set again. And I wonder if they're gonna do that. They're gonna like keep those kind of paired talents together, because those two talents could be just splintered off into separate sets, right? They could do a set with the light heroes and then give support to light heroes that exist, and then separate like a separate option where you get shadow somewhere else. Whereas the elemental talents seem like they kind of are stuck together a little bit more in terms of like their support for heroes, because they did ice alone, but that kind of seemed weird because Oldhim got support that now you have a set with Briar and Lexi that didn't really get as much support, or the cards aren't as good, maybe. I don't know.
Here's a question for Dane that I'm going to answer, and Dane will answer it as well. What do you think of the word ward on the illusionists?
Oh,
There's one of them that
typing a response. Okay, fuck it. I'm gonna.
Oh
delete
well,
that.
we
We'll
can
just
we
talk
we
about
got voices.
do it
Let's
here.
use them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I personally love that card until I saw that word.
I still think it's cool.
you
It still
saw
feels very illusionist to me, where like the things that
Spectrals.
you're attacking with and the things that you're using to assault your enemy are easily broken, and you need to defend those things as well as yourself. So it's cool that like this angel effectively feels like a 4 times spectral shield, right? Where it's like if damage comes through, you're gonna pop my spectral shields. If damage comes through, you're gonna pop my angel. So like it's good defensively. It's a 2 cost, which feels great because basically for 2 you're trading a spectral shield for this angel thing that's now going to protect you for 4 after doing the lifesteal effect on your turn. So I think that's a really good trade. And if you can protect it, if they can't put enough of a assault back at you to push damage through, then that feels great. Like, because you're going to get a second swing out of it. But if not, you got good value.
Yeah.
You can protect it
There
if
was
that's what
an-
you want to do. But
The-
I like
the
So
ward-
there was another one that I was thinking of, and I'm trying to find it, and I probably won't.
the book.
I will
the
say
tome.
that
The tome has ward
one
on
thing-
it as well.
yeah, the
Is
weird
that the one
thing
that lets you
about
draw?
Yep.
yeah,
The tome.
Yeah,
The
I said
weird-
love that card until they put the word ward on it.
See, the thing is,
That-
if
I think
ward
the-
wasn't on it, that would feel disgusting. They gotta be so
yeah.
good.
To be fair, like I think the ward is fine because the ward isn't an optional effect, right? So
Yep.
if you're
Just
gonna
like a
take
spectral
damage,
shield. It's a keyword
you just
that
have to
does
lose
what
it.
spectral shield says. Yeah.
right? The thing about the ward 4 that's interesting is realistically if they just keep, you know, if someone can assault you with a bunch of ones and pings and pokes and knife cuts, right? If I just brings fire and they just go 1 2 1 2 1 2, like
Mhm.
a 5 would just eat that thing for 1 damage,
For sure. Yeah.
which feels super bad if you're in that position. Or like Runeblade, they're just going, hey, I'm just gonna here's 5 rune chants. Then
The nice
2
thing
and
about
2.
ward though is one, we're getting cards that create spectral shields for cheaper, right? Like we get
Yeah.
cheaper spectral shields now, and 2, it has to go through you have to eat through the spectral shield. So say I just played the aura and that angel, and the aura on my turn is going to break, give me 3 spectral shields. I can, feasibly play spectrals through some other means. I'd hope, right? Some way to get spectrals out. But then they throw a 3 at me, and I, block it with a 2 block and eat 1 spectral, one of my 3 that's out. Like there's that balance that you have
Right,
where they have to get through everything before that big ward
Yeah.
pops. So I mean,
I think one of the big things is if you look at Angel, I think the other thing is that huge key to it is I think people are still looking at all of these cards through the lens of Luminaris. In terms of every group chat that I was in, people were like, "Oh my god, that card is broken." And it's
Doesn't
like,
go again.
okay, how do they attack with it if that's not the only attack, right? Like you have to because now you can't just vomit attacks at people if you're a light illusionist because you don't have Luminaris. And people, of course, forget that Luminaris died when Prism died. They're both gone. They're in Living Legend forever. That's the whole point of the that iconic weapon or whatever they called it. What do they call it? The signature weapon. So like that's her signature weapon. It dies with Prism, and that's a good thing. I think that was. Let's be real. Signature weapon was specifically designed for Luminaris and Rosetta Thorn. That's why they wrote that into the rule book. 100%. Like everybody agrees with me on that. Like we're all on the same page that they literally used the signature weapon concept because they thought, you know what, nobody else is that close that has a weapon that's problematic. We could get rid of maybe the two worst designed weapons this game has ever seen. If we just tie them to heroes, so that way when Briar and Prism leave, we just don't have to deal with those godforsaken cards anymore. We don't have to ban them because they'll ban themselves. They got the Starvo treatment.
Because I'm going to keep going back to Worlds because we got 45 people in here. I'm curious what people think is going to pull off the big win this weekend, which is weird because you're going to have it's not just a solo win with all the different formats into one. So it's that whole LL part's a little weird. Obviously, they're ending with CC, but
they said that the hero, whatever heroes they're playing in both Constructed and Blitz, will get Living Legend points,
which is weird. That's just
it's prorated a little bit. So like Constructed,
it's a pro event.
Right. So the constructed deck is getting more and the Blitz deck is getting less because there are more constructed wins you would have to get than Blitz wins, right? So and Blitz has to be scaled because the Living Legend is 500 versus 1,000. I did, yeah. Oh yeah, I saw that, Damon. Sasha said he's not going to make Worlds because he's got COVID.
That's such a bummer.
Can't travel.
Came out of retirement just to be sick for Worlds. Dude, that sucks. Yeah. Sorry, Sasha, if you're watching this. Like, that's a huge bummer.
So Jerome Mai having a chance. So a lot of people were down, and maybe I'm like the only person that I really like the material cards. Like to me,
cool. Again, cool design space that like I never even would have.
And the fact that a lot of times you don't have. Yes, you could just put a dragon that will still have Phantasm if you don't put the specific one name there. But there's some times that you want to rake the embers and use all that ash for Ashwing, and then you draw a dragon. And if you have that in your arsenal, it gives you a chance to just throw whatever dragon you have on top of that without having ash, and then pay for that dragon with your red cards and make more ash. I really, obviously you're not going to fit 6, 9, 10 of them in there, but you might run 2 to 4 of them against certain decks. Maybe 6 against a Guardian that can smash him or a Brute that can smash him so easily.
Right. I think that one of the nicest things about those cards is they just continue to add some flexibility in play style. I don't understand. One of the things I don't understand about people hating on them.
3. They block for 3.
They block for 3. Jeromai is currently a defensive deck that sometimes wants to play a 1-card hand, and that's a fine turn, right? I mean, I think that Steven, I agree that they had Go Again, it'd be way better, but I think if they had Go Again, they might be problematic because then you just arsenal whatever you think you like, the Ash card or the Dragon, and you just wait for the other part of it, and you have a turn where you get to just play it free of charge, right? You get to just play one, play the other, and now it's protected. It doesn't you don't have to worry about it. Not having Go Again, I think they intentionally made attempts to deviate from giving everything Go Again. It felt like for a long time, if it was a non-attack action, just give it Go Again, unless it's a wizard card. If it's an attack action, let's give tons of them Go Again. There's so much Go Again, and I think that sped the game up to a point that they seem unhappy with, now they're trying to dial some of that back. They're trying to make you set up turns and set up plays versus just puking damage. Or if you are a fine, you puke damage, they want you to run a lot of 2 blocks, a lot of no blocks, cards that punish you for just wanting to play every card in your hand as fast as possible. They don't want game to be this thing. Whereas like Blessing of Chi, they want this setup where you're playing, maybe you're playing in Katsu and you're like Kadachi, attack, something, end with Blessing of Ki, arsenal a card, and then next turn you're going to be able to go Tiger for 3 into something, have like these really explosive turns, right?
It is Chi, by the way. Like you can be confident. I took Chinese. Got paid by the army to learn Chinese.
I don't think Go Again hurts the card, to be honest. I don't think it's clunky at all. It's the same way with Passing Mirage and Piercing Reality. You play it at the end of your swings and you're fine. It's something that's been done before. You get it on turn 0. I mean, there's no way that I see that a person can get rid of this card because it's Ash. It's not an item. So if you just play it out at the end of a turn, it's there and it's ready for your card.
Right. And I think that and tell me if you guys feel differently, but with this set specifically, I got the vibe that LSS finally took some of like, if they did have any like internal understanding that they were releasing things that were going to be easy to understand and like they're not going to throw too much at the players at once, like from the onset of the game, they wanted to like give us just the simple heroes, and then they set 2 came out with some arcane damage, and then set 3, you know how they kind of advance it like that. I feel like this is the first set where they're like, people who are playing are going to be able to grasp nuance. They're going to be able to grasp a lot of different like subtle mechanics. We're going to introduce a lot in this set. I feel like this set was kind of like the bumpers in bowling were dropped, like they're taken off, and like they just gave us a bunch of tools. It feels like this was kind of like their first free reign set to give us a bunch of cool stuff that helps in a lot of different ways, and trusting the player base to pick out what those are without being handheld at all. That's what I got when I started like seeing all the like the wide variety of things being released in this set. I was like, cool, this is a huge toolbox that's being given to us versus like the last couple supplemental sets that hasn't felt so much like that. Crew helped a lot of decks, but they didn't help the decks with like crazy new mechanics. There wasn't a Voltron for mech. There wasn't, you know what I mean? Like there's all these different things being added that feel really cool.
Yeah. Crew expanded on like the game concepts. It added stuff to existing gameplays to add a little bit, but not to push things into other directions. Because realistically, back in Crew, there weren't enough cards to go in different directions. Decks were built a specific way because that was the best version of the deck. Realistically, you didn't have a lot of cards to build anything other than a core engine with a few tech cards, because there weren't a lot of tech cards, and now
the card pool just wasn't that deep. Yeah,
exactly. And this feels like what they're trying to do is add enough depth where heroes can have more than one way to be played. You don't
like that part a lot.
I think that was the most important step that this set needed to take for the game's sake, was that when someone flips a hero over, I shouldn't be able to tell them 60 to 70 of their 80 cards. Like I think that's a huge problem with the game, is that there's no opportunity for surprise. Realistically, you can do some surprising things, but you have to be careful about how much you do, because you don't have the card pool to creative and interesting enough with that. You can't expound on that concept too much. You're playing a very linear strategy. We play with John Magnuson all the time. He plays here locally. We see him all the time. We get to see John's crazy brews. But one of the things that he's kind of handcuffed by is the fact that the card pool allows him to do some interesting things, but there's kind of there's a wall that he cannot climb, because you just run out of ways to do a thing. Earthlore Bounty is a really cool thing in Guardian, but there are only so many cards that you can reasonably play and not have a shitty deck, right? You have to have there are cards that do the thing you want to do. Playing 9 Sift Bravo is cute. It's not really good. It doesn't really do
Right.
something because Sift Blue and maybe Sift Red are great, but you put yellow in there because it's like, what else are you going to play? Like, what else are you going to do with that slot to try and leverage Earthlore Bounty? And I think
Yeah.
that this set is trying really hard to give deck builders real leg up on the competition, where they say, you know what, if you could build a really creative deck that's really interesting and you can do something
Catch people
incredibly
out with it. Yeah.
unique, right, you can build a deck where people go, yeah, I'm going to be honest, the only cards I recognize in this deck are these 6 or these 9. They're the 9 best cards in the deck. Everything else is just nuts. What is even happening right now? And
Right.
that's good for the game. The game needs that. It needs an option where deck builders are rewarded just like deck pilots.
Yep. So I'm curious too, because we haven't hit on any of it yet, but do we have Cody? Copy Cody, are you in the chat by chance? Because there has been some brute cards spoiled that I can't really evaluate. Like, I look at it and I'm like, those are 6 powers and they do things when you discard, and like that all seems good to me. But it's like, I don't.
Good.
It seems good. Is it good? Are you excited?
No,
Are
Brute got help.
Reinar and Brute players out there like excited by what they've seen, or has it been lackluster? Because I have zero idea. What do you
Number
guys?
one, brute cards are very good, but they need other decks to slow down. Brute still needs other decks to slow down aggro a little bit, right? So they have to knock some the percentage of aggro needs to come down, because brute plays great into control, because it can just
Mid-range
be like,
control, yeah. They
you
can
don't
play
get
a
to
long
control
game.
anything because I'm going to take your cards and I'll slowly wither away, and then boom. So I personally, from the cards I've seen, I think it's a lot of help. It's a lot of good 6 strength cards, and their discard effects put it on the bottom so you're not fatiguing your deck is amazing. Gaining resources, because as a wizard player, Blake, me, we know you're resource short a lot, and brutes feel that too. So getting that resource
What
maybe
resource
allows
away?
on that barrage
You
or
know,
on the Blood Rush Bellow, you might get that extra claw swing at the end. So
you know
I think it's
that
great.
I think the card that makes a resource is also super interesting because it actually creates possible play pattern where rock is good.
Where rock
Because
works?
if you discard that card, if you pitch, right, you roll your scab skins, or you have a 1 cost that if you discard a 6, it gets go again. You pitch a blue, you play the 1 cost. Well, now you've only got 2 for rock. If you discard the card that gives you a resource, if it's discarded, you have 3 floating resources, and you can go something and then rock. And I just love the fact that they actually included something where you could
It enables
maybe
rock.
consider building a deck with some other options where
Just
rock can
want
exist.
a rock proxy with the rock.
Oh, somebody already did it. They like photoshopped his face on it.
No, I want the real card in hand. Just
Oh, gotcha. Like a
boom.
physical version of the card.
Yes.
I think my favorite brute card so far is Savage Beatdown, because it reads exactly like I expect every brute card to read. There's a wall of text. Somehow it's the most. I don't understand how brute cards to play them sometimes are the most. You have to jump through so many hoops
Yeah.
to accomplish
That's
something.
what I was kind of wondering, because like a lot of the brute cards that I've seen are like, if you've discarded a 6 power this turn and are playing a 6 power and also
Savage Savage Beatdown. All right, here, you ready for it? Play Savage Beatdown only if you've discarded a card with 6 or more power this turn. All right, so we have to do one thing. Whatever we did before cost as a card. We have to pay 3 for Savage Beatdown. That's 2 cards. As an additional cost to play Savage Beatdown, discard a random card. That's 3 cards. And Savage Beatdown, that's 4 cards. So off of 4 cards, they can play Savage Beatdown for 12. Off of 4 cards and a tunic, albeit, Guardian goes 14.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like they got a card that they have to jump through 15 hoops to play. Probably takes 5 cards to do. It takes 4 in hand, or I think they have to play Meat Axe maybe, where it's like draw and discard. But still, you have to draw and discard a 6. Like, that card has to be a 6.
Mm-hmm.
There's just that card reads so much like a brute card because it's like, man, the power ceiling on that card is crazy. Because if they've discarded 2 cards, that 2 sixes, that means you've been intimidated twice. So they're gonna do something to you first and then attack for 12 if this works. So it's like a 16 to 18 damage turn. They're going to take 2 of your cards away for blocking. So maybe at best you can block 6 of it. 10 to 12 damage that they can basically just throw at your face. But to do it, they have to jump through 15 hoops. I'm just like, man, that is it's so correct in terms of how they make brute cards. It looks just like a brute card. I saw that card, I was like, yeah, that's it. That's a flesh and blood brute card. 100% of the way.
What the aim counter is yet? Has anybody? Do we know
It's on
what
the
that
bow.
is yet?
So
It's on the
the
bow.
aim counter gets given by the bow, and then cards.
Yep.
The aim counter itself doesn't do anything. It just cards will proc additional abilities
off
if
of-
the
yeah.
arrow has an
They
aim
have an
counter on it.
So I mean, I think people said Ranger didn't get much help. I think she got steps in the right direction with the bow and getting
to-
more 5-for-1 cards.
I would say that to Damon's point, I think Lexi kind of got the shaft.
Yeah, Lexi did, but Lexi had her time to shine. Let's be honest. Lexi had a good. She'll come back, but they needed to help Azalea more than they needed to help Lexi. Lexi could probably still be made to be pretty good in the next meta. You know, there's a possibility of that. So
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. Fire cram. Brute cards are always broken during development, so they have to be hooped. I would say that's a fair assessment. It always feels like there's a line of text that was added at some point. Like it feels like Savage Beatdown was originally as an additional cost to play Savage Beatdown, discard a random card. If the discarded card has 6 or more power, it has +6. And they went, oh, that's a 12 for 3 plus a second card. That seems it's too close to pulverize. It's just yeah, you can only play it if you've discarded a 6 power card. Perfect. Balanced.
So how
Like
close is Brute to being able to run all 6s now?
It's real
gotta be
close.
real close.
You know, I think the issue is always
You're still going to
Number-
run.
Your resource curve.
the blue 6s. There's just not enough. There's not hardly any blue 6s. I think it's just for actual Rhinar, I think it's literally just Wrecker Romp is the only blue 6 in that he can play. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
You can't run too many. You can't make too many blue 6s. That's
Right.
What about yellow
You have to
6s?
be-
What do we have for yellow 6s?
There are more yellow 6s.
There's a
'cause
lot
I
of
think-
yellow 6s.
Yeah.
But blue 6 that's just the. I mean, that's good. There's reason why only Guardian can run those.
Yeah, that's the big issue is they price Brute in a way they balance it by not making more blue 6s. That's one of it seems to be one of their balancing points is that they'll make yellow 6s, but they draw the line at blue 6. Yeah, and yellow 6s are good. The problem is yellow 6s don't work with these 3-cost cards, and some of these 3-cost cards are just really, really good. And that's how they balance it is just going, well, if you're going to run it, you have to risk the fact that you're going to have to take some blues that aren't 6s.
That's why Reinar's running around in a tunic, baby.
Yep.
What do you think that would look like? I mean, if you saw
if I saw
with a
Reinar,
tunic
period.
on, like you're out in the woods. It's hunting season this weekend in Minnesota, so you're out in the woods, you get in your deer stand, and here's a fucking Bigfoot walking past your deer stand with a goddamn tunic on.
More unsettling than if there was just a Bigfoot.
With
for
nothing,
sure.
yeah.
But like,
If there was nothing on, you'd probably be like,
But,
oh,
like, not by
it's
much.
Bigfoot,
I think
I'm
that-
fine. But it's wearing a tunic, you're like, what the fuck is going on right now?
Imagine
I gotta get
seeing
the hell outta here.
Reinar. Right? Like, imagine seeing Reinar. Like,
See
I would
Reinar in
be
general.
shitting
Yeah.
my pants. But if you saw Reinar in a tunic, I'd still be shitting my pants. I would just be like,
It's also concerning if you're in a deer stand and you see a Reinar versus like a Bigfoot is scary, but you're hoping that the Bigfoot can't tear the tree down. But like Brutes literally smash with Big Tree. So not only could he get to you, but he could shake you out of it. He just grab the tree, snap it off, and just kind of give you the
he'd probably
rock
want
and
that.
slam it.
I don't know if there's a much like intelligent thought going through his head, but he'd be like, "There's metal at the end of this tree, so I'm grabbing that tree specifically."
Yeah.
And then you'd be even
Smash
more
with.
fucked. So yeah,
So also, as we near Thanksgiving, right?
Mhm.
We're a couple weeks out. We'll probably do a holiday break again this year.
like Christmas
guessing.
time.
Some-
Though. Yeah,
some-
yeah.
Yeah, around,
Yep,
around,
yep.
yeah.
Christmas, New Year's.
Regardless, I still want to put out a Festivus video because we need to have
Oh,
a
yeah.
Festivus video.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We need to have we need to line up like 4 or 5 special guests for that. We have to do a Festivus Strava
Butcher's got his invite again. Well,
Ganza. Yes, of course he does. Yes.
I mean, it's just
Ah.
it's tradition at this point. But yeah, we can get some of
So
our
we
we've got
need to have the
some
Festivus
interesting
and
news, some interesting
like people
happenings.
just give us comments of what we should bitch about for that.
About for Festivus. I mean, let's wait until Dynasty comes out and there's something broken instantly. Then there'll be that'll be like free complaining.
The world will be falling at that point.
Yep, yep. If a hero is slightly unbalanced after
And
Dynasty.
I will be honest, I do want to live stream some Pro Quests when they come out in the middle of January because I felt
Yeah.
that we had a good time doing the Battle Harden. So
Yeah.
might not have commentators. We might have some commentators. No, we can always find somebody to Discord in and commentate that way.
Oh yeah.
If we're all
Do
playing,
that
but
too.
we had fun and
I'll be judging
you
the
gonna judge 'em?
viral. Yeah, I'm judging the viral ProQuest. I'll be head judge for that.
all right. We'll make sure you read all the rules properly. We don't want any bad calls.
I'll
I
try.
don't want to have to swear it yet again.
I'll do
I
my
swear you at
best.
the BH.
Well, I mean, I deliberately threw that game for you so that you would lose. But hey, can I do that? Is that okay? Is that allowed?
I'm giving him a game loss. Why? He just pissed me off. He looked at me really
He's a
weird.
fucking asshole. You've
when he
been
came
singing
in
across
today.
him for 20 minutes. You know this. Like,
Yeah. This is typical behavior.
you're out. Get out.
I mean, I don't know what else you guys have for today. I do want to wish all the Minnesotans out at Worlds good luck.
Yeah.
The rest of you can go fuck yourself. I'm rooting for Minnesota, guys. Sorry, just the way it is. I want our locals to do some damage out there because we got a lot of good players going out there.
We feels like we're ready for our this is our moment. Finally get our top 8. It feels like we keep everybody's so I feel so bad when I see final standings and we keep getting like 10th placers because
Andrew
that's
got,
the
what
bubble
is
spot.
Andrew got 9th. John got like,
John got
it's
10th.
right fucking there. It's like,
Close.
come on, guys.
Jason and I know the bubble pain. Like we know the feeling of the bubble, and not even at a pro tour or
Not
a
at that high of
nationals.
a
Like,
level. So
not even at that high of a level. I mean, to be fair, I did bubble a calling, so like that felt pretty bad. When they decided the X2 callings and stuff, that was always fantastic. And it's like, hey, let's
X2,
just
baby.
get pushed out.
What was your record?
It's X2, but we're still. It was X2.
X.
They said ahead of time everybody who they didn't do the X2 thing. Now they do, of course, after.
Yeah, I don't have anything else. So thank you everybody for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed the
short and sweet.
spoilers. Thanks for hanging out with us, talking about the set. Definitely leave comments in the video after the fact if there's something that we missed or you want to still talk about. Be on the lookout for our videos coming out next week. And
We have videos coming out next week.
Our live stream or our podcast.
Podcast. We have a
Podcast.
podcast.
That-
Not
live stream,
plural.
we add
Not
shit?
plural. Possessive.
Plural. Yeah.
Our video,
Video.
is.
Or
our
We do the
video-
bare minimum here.
Our video.
Video.
Our video is coming out next week. Sorry for the confusion. We're lazy as shit. No, our video will be coming out next week, so be on the lookout for that
We'll
too.
post our
Be sure to-
podcast next week.
Be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks, guys. And we'll talk to y'all next week. Peace.
See ya.